All right.
Cello.
Jackalope, we're back.
We're back. Week 13 is almost in the books. Got one more game tonight, and it happens to be one of my top five. I have the Saints based on their recent history in Tampa, but 2-2 going in on the top five. How was your weekend?
The weekend was good. The Steelers, my Steelers grinded out another win. Not pretty, but listen, at the end of the day, they got the win. We're pretty much still alive. I mean, you never know. Now Lamar's hurt. So we
Yep.
get Baltimore this week, and maybe we could beat Huntley, and suddenly, I don't know. I just feel like Tomlin is very, very good at getting these guys to keep playing, no matter what their record is. And somehow, if he can get to 8-9 or 9-8, which is what he really needs to get to keep
Yeah.
that streak alive, it would be pretty impressive. But yeah, I like when the Steelers win. It's great. Obviously, a couple games didn't go my way this week. I had more of them that did actually go my way. I didn't have a bad week, but hard
Yeah,
to make
you
money.
were. We were just tallying this up before the show started. You were 9-5 on all your podcast picks, so that was solid. I was 7-7 with one more game to go. So yeah,
Right. And you had
solid week for you.
what is your line in the contest on that Saint game? Because I know it's come all the way down to 3, which is I think you probably got a favorable line with the Saints if you locked in.
I do. I have 3.5.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you had better than that because it opened at 6.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I might have four and a
I
half,
think
but
you have 4.5, Jack, in your contest. I think you should look at that.
I'm going to look at that right now.
Yeah, I think you have a
Um,
better line than you think.
yeah, before we get into it, just some quick like housekeeping stuff from wannamakeabet.com. So I want to congratulate member MacJet who won the November All Sports. That's like the big cash league at the site where we give away cash based on how many people join. And he racked up like 3.4 million points for the
Oh
month of
my
November
God.
across. I mean, he was, he's a great customer, great member of the site, of the community. Is always playing in lots of leagues. He's in a private league also, but he was firing away on college football, NFL, NHL, NBA. I think there was there baseball in November?
All
Um,
sports league is fun, man.
yeah, yeah.
It's just wide open.
So congrats to him. He wins cash based on how many people were in the league, and there were a few hundred, and I pay out $1 for every person that was in the league. So,
Very nice.
want to just keep the word going that that's a fun free contest to be in every week. So we reset it, and now December has started. There's already over 50 people in that league. So just keep joining, folks. And yeah, aside from that, and
You gotta
world
love that. You have no downside and you can win cash. I mean, you have nothing to lose.
exactly, and we got the World Cup, all the World Cup games turned on for that. So
Really?
that's an added fun thing that only happens every few years. So
Can you bet tie in want to make a bet in
you,
soccer?
you know I have to turn that back on. I used to have the win, lose, and the draw, and for some reason when I replatformed this past summer, that feature came off.
It
So it's
came
really
off.
only favorite and dog, and I also have point spreads in there, which is
It's
interesting.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, like
I've noticed
laying a goal.
from friends of mine that have been betting the soccer. I'm not. I don't know anything about soccer, admittedly, but um, a lot of them are betting draws and getting like plus two
Oh yeah.
seventy on their money or something like.
Oh yeah.
And it
And the other
happens a lot in soccer.
happens a lot, and it's also you win even in the game like today, like the Croatia Japan game was unbelievable this morning. Um, that when the game ends at full time, even if it goes to penalty kicks, it's a draw. If it's 1-1 at the end of regulation, it's the draw bet cashes.
Wow,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Huh?
Hold on, I'm just checking my
Did not
contest.
know that.
Yeah, I have 3.5
You have 3.5. All right,
with the
so I was
Saints.
wrong.
So
I thought
I like that hook. But let's go through the card.
yeah.
Sunday at one, we'll
It was a
start off
fun week,
there.
man. The games were fun this week.
Jacksonville, Detroit.
God,
Uh, wow, this was a runaway train. You and I both like Detroit, but I kind of feel like we've been missing the boat to really sort of lean into Detroit these last couple weeks. They're just playing great, and
we've
Jacksonville.
had them every week. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
you can't do
No, but
much
I
more
haven't
than
been betting on them. I've just been picking them. It's like I'm afraid to just sort of acknowledge that they're actually kind of a better than average team.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're among the hottest teams in the league right now. I mean, the only loss I can remember them having in the last five was that close game to the Bills, where they at the very end they let them drive the field and kick the field goal on Thanksgiving. But other
Yeah.
than that, they're 4-1 in their last five. They seem to score over 30 points every game.
Yeah.
We talked about their offense at home being so much better, and certainly it is. But even when they came to the Giants, they played outdoors. They ran for three scores that game. They dominated the Giants. So the
Yeah.
Giants aren't bad. I mean, it, to me, it's about the offense. I mean, obviously, I'm on St. Brown, who we love. Had another monster game. I mean, he had like 11 catches, 114 yards, a touchdown. Goff again, 300 yards passing. Both running backs scored. And the defense played really well. They actually almost knocked Trevor Lawrence out of the game. It kind of looked scarier than it was. Like his knee, like bent in a way it's not supposed to bend.
Yeah.
And they ran him into the medical tent. They took him inside. Then he kind of just came back out, and I think he finished the game. So kudos to him. But the key takeaway for me in this game is Detroit didn't punt once.
Hmm.
They weren't stopped ever.
Yeah. Jacksonville, they really laid an egg. I don't know. They must have been so happy with themselves for getting a win the previous week that they
Yeah.
like decided to not show up this week. Uh,
Part of me agrees with you, but part of me also says like you're thinking when you see Lions on your schedule, you think about the Detroit Lions over the last what 10, 20 years of our lives, and they've been
yeah.
a doormat. The Lions are not a doormat anymore.
Yeah.
The Lions are a good football team.
No, I agree. So credit to them. And
Yeah.
that was not I don't think it was surprising that they won the game. It was surprising that they won it by how by how many they did in my mind.
Yeah. Vegas got it wrong, right? It was a 1.5 point line and they won like 40-13 or something like that. So Vegas got that one wrong, the math.
Yeah. Let's do look aheads during this show. It was 40-14. Let's do look aheads
Yep.
as part of the Monday look back, because I think it's kind of a good thing to do. And Detroit, you're not going to believe this. What do you think the line is? The Lions are at home against the Vikings this week. What do you think the line is?
Lions are at home against the Vikings this week. The line is Minnesota -3.
Lions are -1,
Huh.
which that is to me a very trappy line,
Yeah.
begging you to take Minnesota, begging you to ask yourself who the hell is Detroit to be a favorite in this game. And look at
Given
their
that
records.
Minnesota's 10-2, right?
Look at their records. I mean, you thought the Dallas Minnesota line was off. I mean, I don't know what you think about this.
Well, listen, I've been a lot of ways, and we'll get to the Jet game in a minute because I had a lot of my bets tied into the Jet money line, as you know, and it was disappointing that they had 6 red zone trips against Minnesota and got 5 field goals and a touchdown, and that's the reason why they lost the game. I'm not overly impressed with Minnesota. Again, you've been right on them that they squeeze by. They seem to win these games. They do just enough. They hang on by their fucking by the by the skin of their teeth, basically, to win these games that they're being outplayed in. And they were outplayed yesterday too, and yet they still won. So you got to
Oh
give them
my God.
credit.
I
You got to
know.
give them credit, but like,
But it is the reason why, like we were talking about DVOA, like they're ranked not in the top half of the league. And it's
yeah,
all because of games like yesterday when I think they got outgained by over 150 or 180 yards
they
by the
did. Yeah,
Jets, and
they
they
did.
won.
They did. And listen, the young players for the Jets continue to play well. The rookie running back had, I think he had 15 rushes for 90 yards. Obviously, Garrett Wilson dominated the game. He had huge numbers. He had like 8 catches. He was like over 160, and he missed that one deep one that would have put him. He would have had like 220 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Like he would have put up a Randy Moss kind of day if White didn't just overthrow him off his fingertips on that.
Yeah.
So he came close to having really an epic day, but still for him, that's got to be a career best, I would think. 162 yards for Garrett Wilson.
But do you
Um,
think that you must have been slightly disappointed in the Jets' inability or unwillingness to run the ball yesterday?
they ran it, listen, they ran it probably this kid ran it 15 times for 90 yards. That's not terrible.
I know, but Mike White can't be throwing. I think he threw the ball
He
57
threw the
times.
ball 57 times. They were down a lot. One thing that really upset me about the Jets and when I had money on them was I felt like they should have used Sauce Gardner like they would have used Revis, where they match him up against Jefferson the whole game. The
Mhm.
Jets don't do that. They leave Sauce on his side and they don't move him, and they leave Reed on his side and they don't move him.
Yeah,
I would have preferred to see Sauce shadowing Jefferson the whole game.
yeah,
I thought they would have had a better chance to win. Jefferson had 2 touchdowns in that game.
yep.
So
One he got Sauce was guarding him on, I
on
think,
one, when he's
on
on
one.
his side, when he's on his side, he's guarding him. I just think like in that type of a scenario, I think you take your best guy, you put him on him the whole game, you give him help to either the inside or the outside when he's covering him if you have to double him, and you have to make Thielen and Osborne and Hawkinson beat you, which is what I thought they would do. And you know what? They didn't do it, but still, the Jets did enough to win the game. They when you're in the red zone 6 times in the game and you kick 5 field goals, that's an indictment on your offense. That's Mike White's not getting it done. They're not coming through in the clutch when they need to. Berrios dropped a touchdown on the
Yeah,
fourth down, hit him
that
right in
was
the chest.
huge.
You got to catch that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the Jets showed me a lot. White had a good game. Would I have liked the defense not to give up 27 points? I mean, I didn't think they would. I thought the Jet defense would be a lot more like Dallas was. But you know what? They weren't, and they didn't really get to Cousins. They got to him, but they didn't get to him the way Dallas got to him.
Yeah, yeah,
So I was wrong on that handicap, and I was, of course, getting 3, and they lost by 5. But I had them in money line and with the Giants and with the Steelers, and I lost units, this week
yeah.
because of the gimmicks.
Let's keep going and talk about Pittsburgh, Atlanta.
Yeah,
You were right.
we were
You were
you and
right,
I
and
were
I,
on the other side,
well, you know what I
opposite side.
underestimated in that game once again? It was kind of the same way that I handicapped the week before, the way that you would beat the Colts. It
Yes.
was the same sort of coaching slash pedigree slash preparedness, like just when all things are equal, that's an edge.
Yeah.
And it ended up being, I feel like it was the difference. I didn't see every play of that game because I was watching Cleveland pretty closely. But I don't know what you thought, but that seemed to be a pretty big deciding factor.
Well, I mean, first of all, I totally agree with you. Tomlin outclasses Arthur Smith. I think Arthur Smith is not a good head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched a lot of Falcon games somehow. I don't know why, but I always seem to either have money on them or against them. And I pay very close attention to this guy and the way he calls plays and his mannerisms on the sideline. And listen, he's dealing with Mariota, who is, I would say, what, he's 11 years in the league. He's not, is he really a starter? I guess he is a starter at this point, but is he? He's a bottom 10 quarterback in the NFL. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He's just not great. And, you
I
know,
agree.
they, they
You've been saying that about him, and the more I watch him, and
yeah,
not that I didn't think that was true, but he's not good.
he's not. I mean, listen, the kid they drafted out of USC, I think, is very good. And now that he's not hurt anymore, Drake London, he had a touchdown for them, and he's impressive. Like if they could get the ball to Pitts and him, and do they still? I think they got rid of that head case guy, right? Ridley, the guy that went crazy.
Yeah,
He's out
yeah.
of the team. They got rid
No,
of him.
he's gone.
So my point is though, and you have Patterson, like, but to me, it's like Atlanta's in a lot of these games late in the game, and they don't execute. They don't get it done, and a lot of it has to do with Mariota. Some of it has to do with the coach, with the play calling, and I've seen him mismanage the clock. I've
Yeah.
seen him not use his timeouts properly. Like he does dumb shit.
Mhm.
But I think yesterday the Steelers, if you look at the numbers, I mean, because the defense was so bad without TJ Watt, their DVOA is not going to impress you. But sixth in the league against the run, and they were able to pretty much stop Patterson for the
Yeah.
most part. They let up 16 points. Minka intercepted a ball, could have ran it in at the end of the game. He just ran it out of bounds. So
Yeah.
really, we could have won by more than 3. On a
Yeah.
pick six there, you win by 10, and it looks a
Yeah.
little more impressive. But it's fine. And listen, Pickett,
Hey, you got the win. We did not win the Browns. That is, I believe we lost at the buzzer down there. If we missed a late field goal and lost that game, that's a game you can't lose.
that's the one you look back on and I love the
Yeah.
Browns in that game. I was like, Brissett's going to get this done, and the offense is work. And I was shocked when you lost that game early in the year. I think your defense didn't play well. The defense played really well yesterday, really well. We'll
Oh, they
get to
won
that
us the
game in a
game.
minute. But one more thing on the Steeler game, just to let you know, Pickett now has gone 3 games in a row without an interception.
Yeah, he's
So
playing
I
great.
think a lot of what he's doing is Tomlin is like sort of holding back the reins on him a little bit. Like his numbers weren't great. The interesting thing was he threw the touchdown to Ironhead Hayward's son, which
Oh,
which was the first catch of his career,
wow.
and very emotional because obviously his dad played in Atlanta.
Yeah. What do you think
So
of speaking of Pickett, who's your candidate right now? Who do you think the leader is for the rookie of the year?
uh,
And I'm not saying Pickett is part of that discussion. I think he's becoming a little bit more of it each week. I think he's kind of running out of time. And now that Ken Walker got hurt, who
yeah,
he was running away with it.
yeah, he was.
Garrett Wilson,
Could be
probably
Olave.
Olave Wilson.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the names and see what the real production has been because I'm admittedly I'm not probably as caught up. Everyone thought preseason Pickens could be it, but he hasn't really done much like on a consistent basis. I mean, to me, Olave is a name that I think he scores every week. I mean, pretty
Yeah.
much. Probably scores tonight too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know. But I will say this about that type of stuff is I think my boy Jalen Hurts is locking up that MVP pretty
Oh,
easily.
he's he
I
had another
mean,
great game. Let's
another
talk real
great.
quick before we move off this one. Let's talk about your upcoming game, which, by the way, I just approved all the spreads for the week
Okay.
because I know everybody likes to start building.
What is that look ahead line?
Um, it's interesting. I took it off the board because
Well,
remember
Huntley is
last
going to.
week I was saying, oh, I think Pittsburgh is going to lose and Baltimore is going to win big, and it's going to be a huge opportunity this week. Like Steelers will be getting
Yeah,
sick.
but Baltimore didn't win big, and Lamar got knocked out of the game, and
The
Huntley they
opposite happened.
barely won that game. Yeah,
The
yeah,
opposite happened. You
correct.
won and they lost, and Lamar's out, and the line switched. You were getting 3.5.
We should be -2.
Now you're laying 3. To be honest with you, I took the game off the board.
That doesn't seem right.
I don't
Minus
want people
three.
betting it until I know for sure what Lamar's status is. I don't think it's fair to like have the line up right now. I don't think most books have it up.
Listen, you follow. You got to go with where you get the lines. If you're getting lines fed to you from books, they have lines up. You got to have them up.
No, I know. No,
Injuries,
I get
injuries.
a consensus feed from the rundown.
Yeah,
That's
from a
my data
different from
provider.
from a lot of different ones. Yeah, it's interesting. Either way, I don't like the way Baltimore's playing, and I
Me too.
really like the way we're playing. And I don't really care what the line is if it's 1, 2, or 3 points. I'm taking Pittsburgh in that game.
Yeah,
I
I'm with
think
you.
we I think we have a big advantage in this game based on just the way the last month has played out.
No, I
The
know. It's
Steelers,
just, and I was going to do that anyway, also, but I wanted to be getting 3 at home and not laying points.
I understand that. I get it. I totally get it. But I can understand if Huntley is in and Lamar's out, the way we've played the last three, the way they've played, why wouldn't we might be minus points at home, even
Yeah.
though we have a worse record than them? They're 8-4, and we're 5-7. I want to say.
Yeah, you're 5-7.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, again, we said it 3 weeks ago. I said, you know what, the Steelers need to run the table to have any sort of relevance and meaningful games in December. So far, they've been able to do it. They've won 3 games in a row, playing much better with T.J. Watt, even though he hasn't had a sack. But Highsmith's had a lot of sacks, and
Yeah.
the defense plays better when he's on the field. I mean, he's their best player. You know how it
Yeah.
is.
Cappy just called me. I'm going to tell him I'm on a podcast with you.
Cappy.
Let's move on to. By the way, Atlanta has a bye this week. Finally, it's
Hmm,
funny they didn't have their bye until now.
that is
Denver,
wild.
Baltimore. It happened
Oh,
as
yeah,
soon as you got off Denver.
yeah.
Then they should have won the game.
They covered easily.
Yeah, well, they were getting 9.5
Eight and a
by
half, I think.
by the time it closed.
I think it
Nine,
was,
eight and a
yeah,
half.
I think it was 8.5, 9. And
Um,
listen, Lamar Jackson went out at the end of the first quarter. It's like, I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but I mean, he's clearly better than Huntley. No, I don't know.
oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, they're really struggling, and obviously, so is Denver. It's just like it's so funny because I heard Russell Wilson on the radio today, Like, I
Did
guess,
you?
well, he was being interviewed about what he said to everybody in the locker room. And he he basically said, well, I just told everybody that, the only two things that we can control is our attitude and our energy. And
Wow.
I just thought to myself, dude, who the fuck is letting you talk? You're not holding your own weight. I can't believe you're the voice of that team in the locker room. You're telling me he stands up in front of everybody and talks
Listen,
in
he's
that
the highest
locker
paid
room?
player on the team. He's the quarterback. He's won in this league. He won a Super Bowl. I don't know anyone else in that room that's won a Super Bowl. Do you?
But man, what the defense is, and the defense hasn't quit.
The defense has played
They did it
hard,
again.
even without Chubb. The defense has played hard. Admittedly, Baltimore doesn't have a juggernaut offense, even with Lamar. They they
Oh, I
they
know.
struggle to score. But I get your point. Like Denver's defense plays hard. It's really kind of hard to keep blaming the coach here. I mean, I didn't like a lot of the things he did early in the year. I thought they made no sense. He had a couple of really bad losses at home as a head coach where I was really shaking my head and like, this guy the right hire? But really, Russ is not great. They have a ton of injuries, Jack. I mean, again, I don't have to tell you. You get the injury reports. I mean, they have a longer list than any other team I've seen. That's been pretty much constant all year. So they're playing with a lot of backups, practice squad guys. Russell Wilson's clearly older. He's not as good. But, they did everything they could to win that game yesterday and still couldn't win it. They couldn't stop them on the last drive. They
Mhm.
let Huntley beat them
I know. And
down the stretch.
I did not think that was going to happen. And
And
it
he
did.
did, man. And you know what? I don't think Harbaugh care. I think Huntley's like kind of very similar to Lamar.
Oh, very,
I mean, they
very.
look alike, they play
Yeah.
alike. It's like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a very good backup for Lamar. I mean, that's all by design because it's sort of like if Lamar goes down, then they're going to keep doing what they
They
do.
just run the same fucking plays.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. It doesn't affect them.
Uh,
But yeah,
so
Denver. I told you on the podcast. Listen, I can't take Denver anymore. I'm sick of it. And I said as soon as I jump off, I know they're going to cover. And sure enough, they did. And that's what the gambling gods will do to you. They will rip your fucking heart out.
so we talked about Baltimore's game. That's with Pittsburgh. Denver is at home getting 9 from the Chiefs. You think they can cover that?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Chiefs off a loss under the Andy Reid thing.
Yeah.
That game's 49-6.
Yeah. 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 I think that should go up.
God, I love the Chiefs in that game. I'll put them in every 3-team tease under the sun. There's no way they're losing to the Denver Broncos. No way.
Something tells me that might be closer than people think, especially because of what you just said. And it's gonna be just a KC gangbang.
I mean, I have to look back and see how KC's done after losing to Cincinnati in the past, but because Cincinnati's really proven to be their kryptonite. And
Yeah,
we'll get to that game. Obviously, Joe Burrow's 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. So
I know.
Joe
I know.
Burrow's the guy that beats Patty. You know what I'm saying?
Of
Did you
course.
see at the end of the game when he went like this too? He did
What?
the with
Oh
with
yeah,
his he did the old Mahomes thing with his hands. I
the
love that.
money.
I told you he's so cocky, but he's good.
Yeah. Let's move on down the line to
Yep.
a game you had your eye on. You did cover. Can't believe they didn't get the win. The commies came
Yeah.
into MetLife Stadium and
Yeah.
pulled off a tie,
Yeah. God. I mean, I'm okay with the tie in football. I guess I'm really not like I'm
especially
not
when
a
you're
guy.
getting points.
Yeah, but just in general, like I'm not a guy that wants to see that college shit, put it on the 25-yard line and do that nonsense. I'm not interested in that. I think the NFL, for the integrity of the league, you play an overtime period. If it's not the playoffs, you're not going to double overtime. If it's a regular season game and no one scores, you had plenty of opportunities in 15 minutes, a full quarter of football. You can't fucking score, it ends in a tie. And that's the way it's always been. I think that's the way it should stay. I know there's a lot of people that want to change that rule. I'm not one of them. I thought both teams had chances in overtime to
Yeah, I
move
mean
the ball.
this was one of the ones we agreed on, right?
Yeah, we both like the Giants. I like
Yeah.
the Giant money line, but I did take them also with the 2.5. So
It didn't
um,
turn out how I thought it. Like we thought Heineke's like luck was going to run out, and
it didn't.
it kind of like well, first of all, the Giants spotted him 10 points because Daniel Jones ended up like fucking up the beginning of the game,
Yeah.
and
Well,
he was the
that's
one who turned the ball
well,
over.
he fumbled on the
Yeah,
he was running and he fumbled the ball. Like that's old Daniel Jones.
yeah,
But
And sure enough,
it's
Heineke did too. Heineke fumbled, I believe, 3 times.
what we said. Heineke's capable of making mistakes. He's a charmed kid, and I like his moxie, but he does do some dumb shit. I mean, he's just
Speaking of that, by the way, of course he fumbled 3 times, and I think he got it back all 3 times.
oh, did he really?
That's the charmed, like that's
Yeah,
so typical.
he's got like a
Of
leprechaun
course
on
he
his
got it back.
shoulder. Yeah, he's like a little leprechaun. He's a very lucky kid. He's very very blessed. But he also has McLaurin and Curtis Samuel.
I know.
So I mean, he's got some athletes that he plays with that are
Oh
very.
yeah.
I mean, that Curtis Samuel catch was huge, man.
Oh,
I mean,
the circle on Madden.
yeah,
I
it's great. What button was that? The circle button?
think it was a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spin.
Funny, Jack.
Um,
But yeah,
yeah,
you know what? Those
of
teams
course
I
they
think
both
are
got in.
very, very close in talent.
Yeah,
Like those are among the two closest teams. When I look at them, like, wow, they're really close in talent, both
yeah.
teams. Washington, I think, is a little bit better on offense with their skill players on the Giants right now. But Saquon kind of equals that out because I think I like Robinson a lot, the young kid. But and obviously the Giants are missing receivers. I mean, Sterling Shepard didn't even realize was on the team. He's their number one receiver. He's been out with an ACL the whole year. So the Giants are a little snake bitten with their injuries. But at
It'd be
least with
interesting to
Dable,
see if these guys, which of these guys, if these guys make it to the postseason. I mean, 7-5-1 Washington, Giants 7-4-1.
yes, Giants have a game in hand.
Yeah, and they
And
play each other again, I think, in 2 weeks from now.
yeah, and
Right?
they flexed it. They actually flexed it today. The NFL flexed that game tonight. They took
Oh
the New
wow,
England, they took the New England Oakland game out of Sunday night, put that at 4 o'clock, and put
interesting.
in Giants at Washington Sunday night that week.
Uh-huh.
So I think that
Okay.
was smart. But
Um,
listen, the Giants have Philly this week, and anyone who's played Philly, I mean, are we ready to jump to that game?
well,
The Philly,
let's talk about that line because it's Giants getting 7.
it's in Philly. The game
What's that?
is it in Philly?
No, it's in New York,
Wow, that's interesting to me.
New
That's a lot of
Jersey.
points.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points, but the problem is Philly is just decimating people. Like I, I mean, if we'll jump to that game this week, I mean, and we talked about, I've been telling you I thought Jalen Hurts has been the MVP of the league with Mahomes pretty much the whole season,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Josh Allen had a hot start, but Jalen Hurts, I mean, I have in fantasy, he had 49.5 points for me this week in fantasy. So
He's great.
He threw for 3 touchdowns. He ran for one, no interceptions, 380 yards. AJ Brown embarrassed Tennessee,
I know.
his old team.
I know. You
I
and I
was
both.
so wrong about this game.
Me too. This was the most wrong I
I
was on any game this week.
Man, I was humbled, man. I was eating some humble pie because I said to myself, you know what? Mike Vrabel, these are the kind of games, and Tennessee needed like a statement win. Like I just felt like they were so ready to just, because I felt like Philly has been a little bit of a paper champion, so to speak, with their weak schedule and shit. And I just feel like if you get a good dose of Derrick Henry down your fucking throat for 150 yards and 2 scores, and they're playing defense on you like Tennessee can sometimes, I felt like maybe that would be enough. And God, was I wrong? Man, was I wrong? Oh my
Me
God.
too. I did not
Oh,
expect that. They were, what did he have? 50 yards, 45. Derrick Henry, like couldn't get anything going.
completely irrelevant.
I know. That's so typical, by the way, of Tennessee. When they play bad, they play awful. They don't just ever lose
Right.
like barely lose a game. They either get blown out or blow you out.
Or win.
Yeah.
Right. And I really thought, I was like, wow, this is such a good spot for them with Eagles, with the Giants next week. And maybe they look ahead. It's a non conference opponent. But man, that AJ Brown angle, I never thought about it.
Going back against his old team.
Yeah, with him not, them not, basically, Vrabel thought he was expendable, didn't
Yeah.
want to spend the money on him.
Yeah.
Boy, he ran without Vrabel's fucking ass, huh? That was unreal. He had a hell of a game.
He sure did. Yeah,
God.
that was impressive, man. I like you. I could not have been more wrong about a game this weekend. And shame on me. I continue to not really believe that Philly is as good as they are.
I know. They really are the best team in the league,
It's
and they
like I
have been.
believe that about Dallas,
Yeah.
but I don't about Philly.
Well, I heard something interesting this morning on Greeny's show, which I guess based on whatever math they're using, or um, I forget what he referred to it as, some sort of a system that they use. Anyway, their system has Dallas as the favorite to win the NFC and the favorite to win the Super Bowl
Oh
based on
wow.
last night's performance, which I found to be a little bit shocking.
Wow. Well, if it's a mathematical model and you score 56 points, then it
Yeah, but
probably
I
triggers
feel
it
like the
into,
Eagles score 50 points too. I mean, listen, we talked about this weeks ago. Let's see what happens when Philly goes to Dallas,
yeah.
because that is the game that everyone is waiting to see.
Oh yeah.
Everyone is
When is
waiting to
that
see.
game?
That's a couple weeks down the road. I mean,
Okay.
Philly has the Giants this week. I'm not sure who Dallas has, but that game is coming, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be a primetime game. They'll have to flex it, and it's going to be special to see that.
Tennessee is not, I believe they have their bye because I don't see them
Yeah,
on.
I think Tennessee has a bye, and I think
Yeah.
Tennessee they have the
Yeah,
Texans.
that was part of my angle, by the way.
Me too.
And I should have thought about it differently. I thought they want to play well going into the bye. And the way I should have thought about it was they're exhausted.
They limped it. They limped into the bye.
Yeah. And said, ah, we're playing an NFC team. Fuck it.
God damn. I guess we really fucked up. Listen, this league is hard to handicap. Obviously, I mean, you could know everything you want to know about games and numbers and shit, and you still have no idea sometimes how these games are going to go. I mean, I'm sure the guys in Vegas when they made that line, Detroit -1.5 against Jacksonville, didn't think the final score would be 40-14. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
even the numbers are wrong sometimes. It is the NFL. Turnovers matter, injuries matter, coaching matters. There's a lot of shit that goes on in these games that, you know, is minute to minute that dictates the outcome a lot more than sometimes just the numbers and the math.
Yeah.
And which is why it's so humbling and why it's so hard.
Um, let's talk about Bears Packers.
Mm, Aaron
Oh man.
Rodgers.
Never in doubt, huh?
He's in doubt the whole game.
Of course. Of course. I
I
mean, the
got,
fact that the Packers covered this game is a miracle.
by the way, it's funny because the numbers would tell you it's not a miracle because Aaron Rodgers obviously owns the Bears. But what continues to be an amazing thing for the Packers is that rookie kid, man, Watson,
Yeah.
had 2 more touchdowns. I think he's played 4 games. He has 7 touchdowns.
Hmm. By the way, he's got to be high on the list of rookie of the year.
He hasn't played enough. He was injured the whole first part of the year, so it's kind of tough to say that. But yeah, in the games he's played,
Yeah.
he's almost scoring 2 touchdowns a game in the
Hmm.
NFL. It's a lot for a rookie.
And once again, we saw why Justin Fields is ranked, I'm pretty sure, at the bottom of the list of
Yeah.
quarterbacks, according
I
to
told you he's
DVOA.
inaccurate and he makes bad decisions and he throws the ball over the middle late. And listen, he's chasing points a lot of times. He's chasing points into a prevent defense a lot of times where they're rushing 3 and they're dropping 8 into coverage and he's trying to find guys. So he's going to throw interceptions at the end of games. I mean, because based on the defense he's playing against, but still. And listen, Chicago can't stop anybody. I mean, I was
In
amazed
this
that.
case, though, he did it. No, I disagree with that. They had the lead when this happened. He threw the deadly interception when he was protecting a lead in the
Well, he
fourth.
did that too against Detroit to Okuda, who took the
Yeah.
pick six,
Yeah.
cut into the lead, and then late in the game, when Fields was chasing, threw another pick, which he did this week as well, threw a
Yeah.
pick to end the game.
I'm just seeing if he is
He threw a pick to end the game this week again, Fields.
okay. He's not ranked last anymore. Matt Ryan has
Oh,
he, yeah. What Matt Ryan did last night was really unbelievable.
I
But Baker
told you, I,
Mayfield,
I
who
told
got
you
big,
weeks ago, you were
yeah.
like, Sam Ellinger is not a professional. I said, listen, Matt Ryan should never play another down of NFL football again. That's how
He
bad
proved
he is.
he proved you right last night, but he's worse than Justin Fields. Baker Mayfield is worse. I saw he was released today.
Yeah, he got cut today.
And Davis Mills is also worse.
Yeah. you know what? Baker will find somewhere to go as a backup and make a nice check and sit there. And he's capable of winning a game. Like there's so like this guy Purdy, right? In San Francisco.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that Shanahan's been working with him, and they call him Mr. Irrelevant because he's the last pick in the draft, right? But and he did enough to win a game yesterday. But did you see San Francisco's NFC odds doubled? They were
No.
plus 600. Now they're plus 1200
Oh, wow. Because
just by
Jimmy's
losing
out.
Jimmy. Just by losing Jimmy. Jimmy's out for the year. Broke his foot.
And what happened with, so Trey Lance is also
Trey
hurt?
Lance is out for the year. He's got an ACL and MCL. He had a major injury.
Oh my God.
Trey Lance is fucked. He'll be back next year, like when they repair that knee.
Oh,
But
I know.
that's
Yeah.
a 9 to 12 month rehab.
I don't believe it. So it's Brock Purdy.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if Baker, if maybe San Fran goes and gets Baker.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, isn't he better than Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy's played one game. Baker Mayfield's played a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, I'm spitballing here, obviously, but if I was Kyle Shanahan, I might say to myself, well, shit, let's just grab Baker Mayfield. And because what happens if Purdy gets hurt?
Yeah, you got to do something.
I mean, you need someone. You may as well get a guy that's been in the league who it's not like Baker is dumb. I mean, he knows the playbook. He's just not, he's a little short and he's obviously made a lot of mistakes. He throws bad picks and he's not great, but still, he's got to be better than some of these other options they have. I wouldn't even know, but I don't even know who is behind Purdy on the depth chart. Even
No
if they
one.
have any,
I just
nobody.
looked. He's
Right.
number three. In fact, Trey Lance isn't even on the list. It's just him and
Trey,
Jimmy.
because Trey's out for the year. But I would say if I'm Shanahan, I'm sure he's going to pick up Baker tonight.
Yeah, he probably already did during this podcast.
Right.
Let's move on. Wait, hold on. Let's see who the Bears and the Packers have this week, real quick.
Yeah, who do the Packers have? The Lions? Oh, no, the Lions have Minnesota, you told me. Right.
Bears, I think, finally have their bye. That's Detroit. I guess they both have a bye.
The Packers too.
Yeah.
So the Packers get that win. So the Packers are 5-7.
Yeah.
So they're not really dead yet.
They're not dead. The only one keeping Minnesota honest, though, is really Detroit. Like they would like if they didn't have
Green Bay and Detroit are both 5-7. This is the thing. If Detroit can find a way to beat Minnesota at home this week, that is huge for them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Actually, Green Bay is 5-8.
Oh, they're 5-8. Okay.
Yeah. Detroit, because they get the bye this week.
Yeah,
Detroit is 5-7.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, because I thought Green Bay was out of it. They're pretty much out of it.
Yeah. Next game was our game. Browns, Texans.
I was wrong about this one. I'll just say it right off the bat. I thought Deshaun Watson would come back and slice and dice the Texans with a purpose. He looked inept.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like
you were right.
As you know, I picked Houston, and I actually think I was on the right side, but didn't get it because if you think about it, he played like someone who hasn't played in 2 years, which I was expecting.
And Chubb was not good against that defense.
Yeah, he actually was pretty good.
He had 80 yards. That's not good enough.
I watched this whole game. I was able to pick it up on top streams.
You love that.
On this new, I wasn't getting it for some reason, but on this new computer I have, I don't know, maybe
it's back.
More processing, but the whole game, Deshaun inaccurate, skipping balls off the turf. I mean, there's nothing that, no matter how much you practice until you feel a rush. So that's what I was expecting.
Even with his talent.
Yeah. What I wasn't expecting.
I was not expecting that.
Were 3 touchdowns from our defense and special teams, which basically, I mean, Deshaun was like 12 for 13 for 110. Like
his numbers were horrible. You didn't win the game on offense. Chubb didn't even have a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's and by the way, Chubb this week, by virtue of that performance, just lost out probably on the rushing title for the year to Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, so it was like we had 3 touchdowns from our defense and special teams, and then Cade York had a good game, which he hasn't been. He had 2 field goals, and that was it. Nobody scored a touchdown dude, our offense.
Anybody can kick it in that stadium. I mean, come on.
And so the fact that Houston put up 14 points, they could have won the game, and we should not have scored more than 21. Like they should have covered.
Well, this is the thing.
Getting 8.
I had I had a 12,500 unit reverse. Cleveland and over 44 and a half.
Oh my God.
I was praying that somehow Houston would backdoor this over.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. It didn't happen for me.
Or us, like, honestly, if
Deshaun, how about throw
Brissett,
one pass, to somebody,
well, if Brissett was playing, we would have scored our 30 or 35 like we do,
Totally. You're right.
So
I was a total misread on my part on Deshaun, and I don't know, I guess maybe the questions all week about everything off the field that got to him, because the players in Cleveland were saying how great he was, been in practice, how accurate every ball is, and how happy they are to have him back. And certainly, I think it probably inspired the defense, although I'm not sure how inspired you need to be against the Houston Texans, who are literally the worst team in, I don't want to say in the history of the NFL, because I know Tampa Bay had some really bad teams back in the day when they were like 0-16, but
yeah,
and the Richie Kotite Jets, but Houston is not far behind those teams. I'm telling you right
they're
now.
horrible.
They are
Even the way
fucking
that,
horrible.
like, they were laughing. The defense was laughing. Like the one where he fumbled it on his own too.
My God.
Did you see that?
By the way, so well, that gives you 5 wins.
We're 5-7.
So you're the same as the Steelers, right?
Yeah. And what's interesting, if we
and you
look
beat
ahead
us.
now,
You beat us already.
yeah, but the fact that we play Cincy this week and we're only getting 6 on the road.
A great time to be playing Cincy for you. Off the KC win. Great time for you. What a spot for you.
Yeah, but the thing is,
love
Deshaun
it.
needs another warm-up game or 3
No, he doesn't.
playing this game.
He's already going to be better next week. Just by stepping on the field, he'll be better than he was this week.
No, I know that.
And he won't be in Houston.
Even though the arm wasn't there, the way he moves and the willingness to run and make plays, like there were so many situations where I said to myself, well, Jacoby would have got sacked there, and he somehow didn't.
Right. Yeah. I like you guys. If that the look ahead line is 6, I like that a lot.
Really?
I think because I think, listen, Cincinnati, I know they're on a roll here, but like that's like an extra special win when you beat Mahomes and you beat Kansas City. You have to be on a high that you can only come down. There's no way when they see the Browns. There's no way. And the only thing is, they did get their asses kicked by the Browns.
Well, they struggled to beat us.
You guys killed them that Monday night game.
I know
that we both had. Where like they circled that game and it was the Super Bowl. We said it. So interesting how if they have any animosity or revenge in their mind for that game, but I still think that you're catching them like maybe when they're a little bit like feeling themselves a little bit. I don't know.
But they have to quickly turn them. Great. They got the day off today. Maybe they even get the day off tomorrow for that win. But they're going to come back ready to get ready for us, I think.
But
I don't think it's.
like
I think that line goes to 7. Like I would be betting. I would be betting Cincinnati here because I think they're going to start taking money.
Well, let's hope it goes to 7.5 then, because at 7.5, I might fucking full boat it.
On your Wonger. Also, yeah. Houston's
there were no Wongs this week. No Wongs this week. The NFL is so smart now with the Wongs are 5-1 this year, so they don't want to give you the Wongs anymore. They're not giving them to you. They're making the lines 3 or 1.
Yeah,
I mean they are not. Man, did they get smart on Stanford Wong?
Houston. Speaking of Houston, they're playing Dallas. What do you think that line is?
17.5, 19.
You got it. No, 17.
17. It'll go to 19.5.
Um,
because I remember when Steve Young that year with the 49ers, when Brad made all his money with the bookie and he was just betting San Fran in the over every week.
Yeah.
They had games where they were laying 19.5 at home and they just won by, they won 55-10.
Wow.
Now I'm not sure Dallas's offense is that good. And I'm not sure if the Texans, if that battle of the state of Texas actually means anything. I don't even know.
No way. I really felt like there's definitely, and it's hard to say this in the NFL because there's so much like performance kickers in these contracts, and everything in your future is going to be based on your past.
Well, you're on
But it
tape.
felt like a lot of guys on that team were not playing
Yeah,
yesterday.
everything's on tape, man. No matter what, these guys, whether they play for Houston next year or they're getting a job somewhere else, every single play that they perform is being looked at. They know that.
Yeah.
So you taking plays off and you're not trying, or you're making a business decision not to tackle this guy.
Yeah.
That might affect your next contract, man. I mean, you got to get yourself in there, man. It's the
Yeah.
NFL. These guys, and that's what Danny Sheridan always used to say to you. Listen,
These
the
are NFL
NFL,
players,
Jack.
Jack.
They're NFL players, Jack.
Miami, San Francisco. Well, we were
Nailed it.
about this.
We
This
nailed it.
Did you see this line? What happened to it?
Yeah, it went to 5.
Yesterday afternoon, like starting at 12:20, it looks like here. Yeah, it went to 5.5.
Yeah, but Jack, we nailed this game. We knew it.
I
We said on
know.
the cast, it's a complete step up in class from Miami. They've been playing dog shit people. You wrote about it in your commissioning,
Yeah.
what we talked about, and you were dead right.
Yeah.
San Francisco, and listen, if Jimmy G didn't get hurt, it didn't even matter because they were so much better on defense. Bosa was getting around the edge and hitting Tua, which I said he would do, and he did. And it's when you rattle Tua a little bit, he's not the same.
I know.
If you let him stand there, and also Waddle got hurt, and that was
Yeah.
big for Miami.
That was a good trade-off for Jimmy, because I actually thought when Jimmy went down that we were screwed. It was setting up at the end of that game. The back door was so wide open, especially when they went up by 9.
Yeah,
I was certain they were going to give up a touchdown.
right. And they
And
didn't. Their defense is very good in the fourth quarter, Jack.
they were going to win the game by 2 or hold on to it, or like, I got a sick feeling.
Do you have the pull up how many points they let up in the second half? I'm curious. San Francisco. I don't remember. I was drinking. I don't remember the exact at that point what was really happening with the scoring.
It was, let me see the box score here. They got 16. Well, 6 in the third quarter, 10 in the fourth.
Miami.
No, San Francisco. Oh,
No,
Miami.
I'm asking how many points Miami scored in the second half.
7.
7. Right. So that's in line with San Francisco has not been allowing teams to score in the second half.
I saw they went up 7-0, and I was watching football and soccer all morning. I like had to go to the gym, so I left. And when I came back, it was 17-10 at halftime. So I was like, okay, so we're back. Right. We're back in a good spot.
Yeah, but you took San Fran on the pod, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So we had the game right. We picked it right.
And took them in the contest.
And you took them in the contest.
I had, so far Buffalo and San Fran were my winners. My losers were Tennessee and who was my other loser?
Atlanta? No. You didn't take Atlanta, did you?
Oh, I had the Chiefs.
Oh, the Chiefs, yeah.
Which we'll talk about. Why don't we talk about that next? That was the second.
Well, let's just say this, because I mean, I know we said it like a few minutes ago when we weren't talking about this game, but so San Francisco's odds in the NFC went from plus 600 to plus 1,200 now with this kid Purdy. So, I mean, is it realistic to think that San Francisco can continue to win with just handing the ball off to Debo
with whoever,
and McCaffrey, and just playing defense?
No,
I don't think so either.
No,
I think eventually you need your quarterback to make throws.
Yeah, I actually didn't like their odds, just even with Jimmy.
I actually did, because
I didn't think they could go all. I don't think they could win like the NFC Championship.
I thought they easily could, because they'd already been to a Super Bowl with Jimmy and had the lead against Kansas City. I was at the game at the Hard Rock with Cappy. I was at that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I had Kansas City, and the whole game I was miserable. I'm like, I can't believe fucking Cappy's going to win more money off me. I had a huge bet on Kansas City. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the fourth quarter, it turned. It was like unbelievable.
Is that the one where the lights went out?
It wouldn't have shocked me, for San Fran with this defense and Shanahan and Jimmy, and even with McCaffrey adding. I was like, San Francisco could win this thing. They could beat the Eagles. They could go in and beat the Eagles in Philly, or they could beat Dallas. I don't feel that way about Minnesota.
Yeah, I do. I like
You think
Minnesota.
Minnesota can go to Philadelphia and win a game,
Probably
or
not.
go to
Not the
Dallas,
Eagles. I don't like them.
And win a game in Dallas after Dallas torched them?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think they're on that level.
no, I do think I agree with you. I think San Francisco and Dallas and Philly are kind of the elite of the NFC for sure.
Totally agree. I mean, the skill position players on offense to San Francisco are extraordinary, and they're the hardest hitting defense in the league.
Yeah,
I mean, they punish you
yeah,
when they hit you.
and
Fucking
they did it
hurts.
again. And
It hurts when I watch.
I love when you're D and Pittsburgh's like this too.
Yes,
At the end of the game when you need a sack.
they bring it, man, and
Yeah,
that's when these guys earn their money. Like that fourth quarter pressure is everything.
I know. By the way,
And
the
that
Browns, so Miles Garrett apparently
you have Miles Garrett. He should be doing that, you know?
his shoulder from the car accident,
Yeah.
it's not right.
No.
He's like there was I saw an interview on the Browns on Cleveland Browns Daily or on the CBD pod. The
Yep.
CBD pod, the Cleveland Browns Daily. They do
CBD.
a daily podcast from Cleveland. And it's the guys who call the game, so they're just so knowledgeable. And they had him on, and his shoulder, he like everyone, he's playing through pain, but his
Yeah.
shoulder's not right.
So I get that. And you know, listen, I'm a weekend warrior guy, but when I hurt my shoulder last year in that hockey tournament, I couldn't lift my left arm.
Yeah,
And when I went to physical therapy, it's like you have so much inflammation and deterioration, and you have a torn labrum, and you have a torn bicep. He's like, I can't do anything for you. He sent me to a pain guy, and Dr. Eric Siegel, who's the best. So he sends me to this guy. I go in. You know, when your wife was pregnant, they put that sonogram thing
yeah,
on her stomach, and you're looking at the monitor and shit.
yeah.
He's doing that to my shoulder.
Hmm.
He's like, oh yeah, you see that? Here you go. You see this? You see it. Next thing you know, he just starts sticking needles in
Oh, really?
wherever, targeted needle injections of Toradol and lidocaine, which I'm sure that Miles is getting.
Oh, yeah.
And if he's not getting it 2 to 3 times a week, he's making a mistake.
Well,
Because
I'm
what it
sure
does,
he's taking whatever.
it speeds up the healing,
Yeah,
and it's also water soluble. So it's not like cortisone. You pee it out in 72 hours.
yeah.
And let me just tell you, saved my life. No surgery, fully back playing sports for a full year. Miles Garrett, I'm sure he's getting to, like, NFL is rampant with Toradol and lidocaine. I mean, I'm not telling you something that they don't know, but
Of
I'm
course.
sure he's getting those injections. And
Yeah.
every week his shoulder will get better.
But the thing about all those injections, and you know this too, right? It's like it starts like it's better to just lay off it, rest, don't put any stress on it. So the inflammation just organically goes
Well,
down.
that's true. The
All that's
problem is,
doing is
see,
masking the pain, and it's also
well,
not good for the cartilage and the ligament and the joint. It's not good to stick needles
well,
and ibuprofen into it.
I will say this. I was inactive for 4 months while these needles were going in my
I
shoulder.
know you skipped golf season. Don't
He's
remind.
playing every Sunday with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it's a different story.
Well, $100 million will do that to you.
Yeah, and also, listen,
Um,
he's an NFL player. These guys have heart. A lot of them do. A lot of times you're like, oh, you're quitting or whatever. And we talked about this. That
yeah.
you never want to have a quitter on your team, but most of these guys are not like that, man. They play through pain, probably more pain than most people know.
What do you think of so looking ahead for both these teams? San Francisco's laying 3.5 to Tampa.
Where's that game?
That in San Francisco, and
Love Tampa. I
Miami
love.
is staying on the West Coast, and I wonder if they're going to stay there or go home. But they're laying 3 to the Chargers.
I like the Chargers, and I like Tampa early in those lines. I would take that
Oh,
3.5 right now with Tampa for sure. Oh my
that's really.
God.
I like San Francisco because it's a short week and they got to go to the West Coast and they're not good. So all three of those things like make me like the 49ers. And on the other game, I don't know. I have to think about that one. I don't really have a thought there yet.
Listen, let's see what's going to go on tonight. I mean, listen, the Saints have a great track record against Tampa. Tampa beat the Saints this year 20-10 in New Orleans early in the year to break that trend. And
Yeah.
I love Tampa tonight. I mean, but we'll get to that eventually. But man, I can't believe the line came down to 3. I think it's a gift. And
Yeah.
I think Brady's gonna fucking I think that Dalton sucks and the Saints are done. And I think Tampa knows if they win this game, they're 6-6 and they make a playoff push like they always do. They win the division. I love Tampa tonight at home. I cannot believe the line is only 3. I'm shocked.
We got a $20 bet on that. I love the Saints.
You do, right?
Yeah.
I'll do the Venmo with you.
Done. 20
All
bucks?
right, good. -3. Tampa's
No,
-3. All
no,
right,
three
I'll
and a
take
half.
it. Is it 3.5?
Well, that's my line.
I got 3 on your site today.
I don't want 3.
I pushed all in, by the way, and recognize the skills.
Did you really?
Yep.
Good luck. Well, we'll talk later if you
Okay.
want to give me 3.5. Next game is
Okay.
Seattle at the Rams. This was brutal for I mean, I didn't touch it because I already lost. I told you I lost confidence in Seattle. They're regressing. But I was surprised of how the Rams played. I don't
I
know
think
what
I think everyone
happened.
was surprised, by the way. They had no players playing, and they played like they went out there and played. I don't know if Seattle's defense is just bad. I mean, Seattle's defense has been bad all year, but you got to give Geno Smith credit, man. At the end of the game, he marched him down the thing. He had a career game. Geno
Yeah.
Smith has never thrown for as many yards as he threw for 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the game winner in the fourth quarter when they needed it most with 36 seconds left. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Geno Smith is, I mean, I know it's hard to imagine that he's in the top 5 in the MVP discussion, but I think right now I'd put him at 4. I would put Jalen, Mahomes, Josh, and Geno on my top 4 for the MVP right now.
Really?
Yes. Geno Smith's had an extraordinarily good year. Look at his numbers. Seattle was not supposed to be winning. They're winning despite of the horrible defense. I mean, how you allow the Rams? Who the fuck was even quarterbacking for the Rams?
Can you believe? I mean, I want you to tell me what happened in the locker room of the Rams at halftime or before the game. Was it did Bobby Wagner stand up and look every single person in the face and say, "We're not fucking losing this game to Seattle"?
Maybe.
And if any one of you on this team brings half an effort today, I'm going to fucking cut your head off.
That's
I mean, he
amazing.
must have.
I didn't
Who
even
else would have done it?
realize that. I didn't realize that Bobby Wagner angle.
I mean, I'm just trying to create a narrative. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they showed up.
I don't either. I thought the Rams were dead and buried. I thought they'd mailed it in. Stafford's done. He's got a neck injury. Kupp is out. Robinson's out. They can't run the ball.
I'm telling you, Bobby Wagner
Aaron
said,
Donald didn't play.
I fucking dare one of you guys to show up today with less than 100%.
I'll tell you this, man. They had to lead the whole game.
I know.
I had Seattle in a teaser. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank God.
I had Seattle in a teaser with the Chargers
Yeah.
plus 8.5. And believe it or not, that Seattle game went to 6.5 before kickoff. So somebody knew that the Rams were going to show up.
Well, what was the Wolford story? I mean, I see Bryce Perkins was.
No, Wolford played.
No, I know.
Maybe that's why.
And he was
maybe
good.
He was good for that point. But man, he was professional.
He was good. He was fast. He was running. Like he was like he mattered.
Well, this is the thing. The problem with that bet was, first of all, when you're laying 7.5 with Seattle on the road and you have to play with that defense, that's trouble because they can't stop anybody.
The Rams were in a good spot. They got embarrassed the week before by the Chiefs. Everyone wrote them off.
Oh,
it was
but
like,
you think if you would have known Wooford was playing and not the other kid, do you think you would have taken the Rams plus the points on the pod?
no, well, no, because of how bad they played the week before, and
Aaron Donald was out.
Aaron Donald was out. I mean, Wolford is the backup.
I know. I know.
So he is number 2 on the depth chart.
He played last year at a playoff.
But no, I wouldn't have taken him. I did think I think I said it on the pod. I thought it was too many to be laying on the road for Seattle.
But we laid it. We laid it anyway.
I know.
because my opinion was that the Rams are decimated decimated with injuries, and they have none of their starters playing, and Seattle needs to win the game.
I know, and that's
Like that
why
was
I guess it was because it was a division game, uh,
yes.
maybe, or like they didn't like what Houston did. They quit. I thought the Rams were going to quit, and I just have this like narrative that Bobby Wagner refused to let anybody quit.
You might be right. And I'll tell you, this is interesting because the trends have sucked this year, but the trends were heavily favored on the Rams in this game.
Really?
Like, oh, yeah. The Rams against the spread against Seattle, especially in LA, is an enormous advantage for them. But
Wow.
that, but that's with, so I threw that out because number one, they haven't been good. And number two, Stafford's not playing. And I was like, oh, this doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
But imagine that. It came through. The trends were right. And they covered, you know?
Mm.
But Seattle got the win. You got to give them credit. And the teaser,
Yeah.
they got it done. Geno Smith had a really solid game. The problem with the Seattle is the defense. That I don't know how you can win in the playoffs. I mean, the playoffs are not normally games where you're winning 42-40. I mean, right? I mean,
Yeah. They're
I don't
laying.
know. I just
Let's move to this week. They're laying a more reasonable number at home to Carolina, 3.5.
Sam
I,
Darnold
I
looks
like
like he
them.
reclaimed his job.
Yeah, I think I like Seattle in that one just on first look. And then the Rams are playing the Raiders and they're getting 6 at home. Wow.
Raiders have been absolutely on fire.
I agree. And we're going to talk about that next. But I say when I first look at that line, I think that's too many for the Raiders to be laying on the road.
Maybe,
6.
but we'll see. If Aaron Donald doesn't play again, I mean, it's one thing for the Rams to get up with Bobby Wagner against a team that he was played his whole career against and was cut from, but
Yeah.
it's another thing for them to give a shit about playing a game against an AFC team. I mean, the Rams are 4-9. I mean, the Rams are done.
Mm-hmm.
And the Raiders are playing real football. I mean, the Raiders could kill the Rams. Kill.
Yeah. Now
Oh my
that
God.
that may be a game that they don't care about. I'm curious what the trends say. Let's move on
I
to
honestly, I love the Raiders in that game. It's only
really.
6. It's only 6 and Stafford's out, right?
Yep.
Oh, I love the Raiders in that spot. The Raiders are playing great football. Josh Jacobs is going to win the rushing title. He had
Yeah,
another
Matt
huge.
Stafford is on IR.
Yeah, he's done. Stafford's done for the year. He has a neck injury.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the Raiders, the Vegas game, because that Charger game. Chargers had a 10-0 lead. They blew that lead.
Yeah.
And Vegas, I mean, listen, Chargers backdoored it for me for plus the 8.5 and lost by 7.
Yeah, they
But
hit a
Josh
long
Jacobs,
TD
two
to
to Devontae Adams. Keenan Allen had the
yeah,
TD.
Keenan Allen backdoored it, right?
Yeah, he backdoored it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Devontae Adams had 2 touchdowns. The offense looked really, really good.
They looked incredible. They looked
Josh
like one of the
Jacobs,
best teams in the AFC. The way
Josh
they played.
Jacobs is going to win the rushing title. He now has 1,300 yards. So he's about 200 yards ahead of Chubb and about 250 ahead of Derrick Henry. Now, Derrick Henry, when he plays the Texans, normally rushes for 200 yards. So and they still
Twice a
play
year.
them one more time,
Yeah. Yeah, I continue to be impressed by these guys, and I haven't been riding them. This is like another. You got to identify these teams when they're hot and get on them and bet
I
on
did.
them while they're
I
hot.
did on the
I
pod. I
admit,
had the Raiders. I was very psyched to have them at home. I know they've been playing better. The Chargers, there's something wrong with the Chargers. I've been saying this all year. You want the Chargers to be what they were last year. They're not that team. They're just not.
yeah.
They're not.
You
And
think
you
they
keep
need to
waiting
have?
every week. It doesn't happen.
You think they need to have Williams and
Yes,
Keenan Allen healthy?
100%.
It's the run. It's their
Their
defense
offensive
isn't as good
line,
as they were too. I guess Boza's out.
their
That
offensive
matters.
line's not as good either. They lost the big offensive lineman, and Eckler's great, but you know, I think you need to have when you have their full complement of receivers. It's a big difference when you have your one, your number two, and then all of a sudden that kid Palmer, or you know what I'm saying, as
Yeah.
your 3 is really tough. They have Everett at tight end. I mean, they have skill guys, but they can't keep these guys on the field. They don't. I don't think they've played a game this year with all their players.
And also, Eckler is not. I don't know. He's not like a power back.
Not at all.
I mean,
He's small.
he's only got 564. He's projected to have another 300. I mean, that's your
Not great,
best. Yeah,
but he catches a lot of balls out of the backfield.
I know. He's like that scat back type.
Yeah, they like to throw it to him a lot on screens, and he's very elusive.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
problem with them is
I agree with you. There is something wrong with them. There's something
and
off. And also I feel like I feel like Herbert's having a bit of a down year, just his own personal performance. He does a lot, he makes a lot of bad throws, like you said.
I'm
Weird
down on Herbert. I mean,
decisions.
I know everybody wants to put him in the Hall of Fame already, and his skill set and this and that. I get it, and I Reed loves him and blah blah blah, and he yells at me, but he hasn't been great. I have him in fantasy. His numbers are pedestrian. He doesn't win games at the level that you would think a guy like of his stature would win games. He loses a lot of
Numbers are pretty
games.
good. 20-7, like TD to INT ratio. That's pretty solid.
It's not awful, but the problem with them is that I think their coach is supposed to be a defensive minded coach. They went
Mm-hmm.
out and got Khalil Mack, and their defense is worse than it was last year, not
Yeah.
better. So that's weird. That
He's
doesn't make
still
sense to
got
me.
tremendous upside, in my opinion. I mean, he's only 24.
So if the Chargers get into the playoffs, let's say as a 7 seed, do you actually think they can go on the road and beat somebody?
It depends how healthy they are. But they're like a bubble team right now to me, and
Totally.
they could easily lose
Listen,
out. I mean, they're
the
6-6.
the AFC 7th spot is up for grabs.
I know.
There
Like
are a
as a
million.
Browns fan and a Steeler fan, you and I
They're
are
in
looking
there.
at a team like that and looking at them to fucking step aside.
And I want
Right?
to if I beat the Ravens at home this week and we're 6-7, and suddenly you go in and sweep Cincinnati, you catch them in the right spot, you're 6-7.
And they have
Who
to play
knows?
Miami.
You have Watson back now.
Yeah.
Maybe Watson gets hot.
I know. I know.
So listen, there are years where 9-7 will get you in. 9-8, I've never seen, but I mean 17 weeks. I mean, we've only had how many years with the 17 game shit? Not many, but
Yeah.
I think it's only been a couple years, but there was that year when Seattle with Hasselbeck was 7-9
Yep.
and hosted a playoff game and won it.
Didn't the Giants do something like that? Or that was
Giants did it too. That's
yeah.
right.
With
Yeah,
Eli.
so it can be done. Again, we always talk about it. You want to play your best football in December, and right now you start stringing together wins. I mean, Steelers win this game against Baltimore this week at home. That's 4 in a row with Pickett. I'm just saying, I've seen weirder things happen.
Yeah. What'd you think of Chiefs Bengals?
I thought it played out exactly how I thought it would. I thought it'd be a 3-point game and that Cincinnati would win the game at the end with Burrow. And I don't know what it is about. I mean, it was extremely competitive. I mean, hard hitting. Wow. I mean,
I
they don't
thought the
like each other.
opposite. As I thought it would be a 3-point game that the Chiefs win.
Yeah.
And I
Those
feel
teams,
like for the second week in a row, I lost. I was on the wrong side of that fucking moving scrum where they hold the guy up and rip the ball out. They did it to Kelsey.
they did the
That
Kelsey. Yeah.
was that was the most important play of the game
That was
in my
the
mind.
play of the game. That was the play of the game.
And it was the week before it happened to me with what wasn't it? What's his face on the Colts? They
With Jonathan Taylor,
didn't they hold him up and rip the ball out the week before and I lost?
Steelers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah. But I was on
But
the right
listen,
side of that. I was on the wrong side of that happening twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row. So I can't remember right now, but still, that was so critical because we were up by 3 when that happened, and marching. That happened on the plus side on the 35-yard line on the 38 or something. And if we went down and scored there and went up by 10, it's just a totally different game.
Yeah. I gotta say, I mean, I bash Burrow a lot because I don't like his cocky attitude and I don't like the shit he says in the press conferences sometimes. As a young player, I think he should check himself a little bit. But I mean, he is really, really good quarterback. And my whole life, Cincinnati has pretty much sucked. I mean, I know Ken Anderson and Nicky Woods and certainly Collinsworth.
Dude,
They had
that
that
was
run
that was 40 years ago.
I'm just saying in my life, and I'm old, but they had that team that went and they beat Dan Fouts at home in that 0 degree day, and they went and they lost to Montana with the throw to Jonathan Taylor. But and also Carson Palmer probably had maybe a year or two where you thought, wow, Seattle might, but Cincinnati might be good. But I don't remember, like, to me now, like Cincinnati, I don't remember them my entire life being this dangerous of a team. Like going to Cincinnati now is not easy.
Oh yeah,
Where you used to be like, oh, we're in Cincinnati this week, and
lock.
win
Yeah,
every time.
yeah.
Cincinnati now is really well put together, pretty well coached,
I think
and
their coaching I still question. I'm not a
well, all these
Zach,
young coaches do shit that you don't agree with.
that call
That's
that Zach
yeah,
Taylor made on the 4th and 1 with the sweep that got stuffed.
it's
I
unbelievable.
thought that was going to be I thought that was another critical moment of the game that did not
Yeah,
work out for them. I don't know. If
sometimes
I have to
despite
make that,
themselves
I'll say it now. If I have to make that bet again, and I'm sure I'm going to at some point this year, I'm going to take the Chiefs again,
in Kansas City
wherever. If it's in the
because
playoffs,
you like Andy versus, even though that Burrow's 3-0 and this guy Zach Taylor's 3-0 against Kansas City.
yeah,
He hasn't proven it to you yet that he's better than them. You
no,
need to you
I'm
need
gonna.
one more loss. You need one more loss.
Like Porky's.
But he keeps going back.
Uh,
Oh, that's awesome.
so we'll see. And then let's finish off with the night card. Well, we got to talk about tonight's game real
Can I
quick.
just say one thing? I
Yeah.
do enjoy, and it doesn't happen often, but I do enjoy watching Mahomes walk off the field with a loss. I feel good inside.
Really? I don't. I don't.
I do.
He's not the kind of guy that I necessarily root against.
I like watching
The
him.
way like I feel that way about Tom Brady.
Well, it's easy to hate Tom.
Yeah, and it's not because he went to Michigan. It's just there's something about him that I don't like, and maybe it was all the years winning in New England, or maybe it was just the fact that I never sort of could believe that he like he performed or got away with what he did by just standing there and throwing the ball.
Yeah, I mean, a
He never had to run.
pocket passer,
Pocket passer, the
and
ultimate
just
pocket passer of all time.
surgical, and smart. So he knows when he goes to the line, he knows exactly who's blitzing, who's dropping into coverage, who's coming, what to do, how to shift the line, how to
Yeah.
get his protection. He's outsmarts people.
Oh, I know. And I saw another quarterback say this about him, that he always makes the throw he's supposed to make every time. 100% of the time, if he's supposed to go to option number one, whether it's
Oh,
1, 2, 3, or 4,
oh, is that true?
he goes to that one every 100% of the time.
See, that's surprising to me. I would think that if that read is not, like, he's good at reading the defense, and he would go into his progression if it's not there.
No, that you're saying what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you were
If,
saying he always forces the ball to that,
no,
no
no.
matter.
If
Oh,
option one is open,
right.
he will throw it to option one 100% of the time.
If it's open.
If it's open. Well, a lot of quarterbacks will go, oh, yeah, I got that guy. Okay, let me see what else is there.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that ever.
By the way, that cost me the game this week in the JFL.
No way.
What I did.
You overlooked the check down or something?
We were winning 4-2. I was on fire, unstoppable. First 4 drives, touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, I was throwing the ball great. No incompletions, no interceptions. Something happened. I tried to hit a deep corner route. I underthrew it. Guy jumped up, intercepted it. They came down, scored. It was 4-3. Moving the ball down again, another corner route. This time, it was just a bad throw. Intercepted. But the last one, my number one read was a skinny post in the end zone. He was wide open.
Why didn't you
Didn't throw it to him. My best receiver didn't throw it to him.
Why?
Because I saw that the coverage off the outside guy was 20 yards back, and I just threw it and I let him, but I threw it too far in front of him, and the guy picked it off and ran it back 95 yards. Now I'm sprinting. I'm sprinting after this kid who's half my age, and I dive to try and get it's two-hand touch. I got one hand on him. They ran it back for a pick six. We lose 5-4.
Oh my God.
My worst game, my worst fourth quarter of in a long, long time. I mean, I blew the game, and I had been so good. Like 2 Sundays in a row, Thanksgiving, I had 5 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, I have been really good this year. And the first 3 quarters of this game, I was just unstoppable. And then something just happened.
Yeah.
And it all turned. And I woke up today. I was so sore.
Follow the Tom. Remember what I told you about Tom Brady next time you take the field.
Yeah. You got to throw it to your number one guy if he's open.
You have to.
That's for sure.
Last game, Dallas Colts. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. We don't have to spend much time on this, but my Lord, I went to sleep last night and I thought it was over. It wasn't.
You got to give the Colts credit for fighting, at least in the beginning of the game. I didn't think they had it in them.
Well, you texted me and you said, Dallas, I should resend you that text. You thought Dallas wasn't.
Dallas sucks.
Yeah.
It was 21-19. I fell asleep. I'm like, I'm done. I turned it off.
Oh my God.
And they had like 30 something points in the fourth quarter. I couldn't even believe the score when I woke up. I could not believe how different it was from the 3 quarters that I watched.
Yeah.
From where it ended when I woke up. I was stunned.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'll take the win. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, anytime you get a win against the spread, it's good, you know?
I just want to see that box go. God, 33 points in the fourth quarter.
I think that's an NFL record, Jack.
I think it is too. But it's all like that defense. I mean, Matty was just throwing picks.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's what Matty Ice does, man. Throws picks.
So I don't know what those two are doing this week, but do the Colts have a bye? I think they may finally get their bye.
Dallas plays the Texans, you said, I think, no?
Yeah, Dallas is playing. I think the Colts have a bye. So Dallas is laying 17. Okay. Before we go, thoughts on tonight? I mean, we talked about it a little bit. I love the trends for the Saints in this game. And I think especially on the road in Tampa, combined with the fact that I have the trends, I have the desire, I have a division battle. I'm getting 3.5 in the contest.
Yeah.
And Tampa hasn't been playing well. And I mean, they struggled against our defense last week to score. And the Saints,
shitty weather. They were playing in the cold and the rain and
it wasn't. Weather was fine in the Cleveland game.
Yeah, I don't know. It was wet and rainy and cold and miserable, like it always is in Cleveland. And honestly, Brady doesn't like that weather.
You love saying that.
Yeah, I do. And Brady doesn't like the weather. And I will say this: I would be stunned if Tampa Bay is not super focused tonight. To come out here and they know what's on the line. That if they win this game, they win the division. That's it.
Well,
it's as simple as that.
It's
as simple as that. Atlanta's buried, and the Saints will be 4-8 or 4-9. And honestly,
here's the thing, Chal. There's one game separating the entire division. Okay, Buccaneers and Falcons are Buccaneers are 5-6. Atlanta's 5-8. They're finally getting a bye. But I'm just saying, no one has more than 5 wins.
Atlanta's done.
And Carolina, I'm just saying, Atlanta and Tampa both have 5 wins, and Carolina and the Saints have 4. So you have 5 wins in that division. This is what in my write-up on the newsletter.
Right. But
you're alive.
Point is, if Tampa wins,
tied with the lead.
If they win tonight, they go to 6 wins, and they take a stranglehold on the division.
They're 6-6, and
and by the way, they're at home, and everyone is betting New Orleans. That line is down to 3. I love that. I think the line move here is wrong. I think the trends are wrong. I think Andy Dalton on primetime is horrible. You're gonna say to yourself, "How the fuck did I bet on Andy Dalton on Monday Night Football?"
I very well maybe. You're not wrong about that. And I hate him. And so, like, if it happens, then shame on me.
Yeah,
because,
but I know you're playing the trends.
He's done it to me before.
You're playing the trends, and the Saints have been good historically against Brady and against Tampa. I'll give you that. Kamara to me is a wild card now. Some games he shows up, some games he doesn't. Olave's been great. If Olave gets 2 scores tonight, do you think it's high scoring or low scoring?
Low. And I'm count again. I'm a big part of my handicap is counting on the continued struggles of the Tampa offense.
Which see, I don't see that. I see that offense as being ready to explode on someone like Julio Jones, Mike
Which they haven't
Evans,
done yet this
Chris
season.
Godwin, this young running back, the young tight end. I mean, they are ready to torch somebody.
Which they have not done yet this season.
Correct. And is Lattimore playing? Because I think Lattimore's still out.
I'll tell you
And if
right
they don't
now.
have Lattimore, they're in trouble covering these guys. I think he came back to practice this week, but only limited. He has a very bad injury.
Questionable.
Yeah. So, I mean, let me just tell you, for the sake of your bet, you need Lattimore to play.
Not expected to be active, according to Sarah Walsh of the NFL.
Yeah, I don't think he can go. I think the Saints are in big trouble tonight. I know you have Cam Jordan, who I love, and the linebacker. I love that linebacker.
Yeah.
On the Saints. Oh, I love him
one?
So much. Demario Davis. I think it's just incredible. Oh,
yeah.
And by the way, I love the linebacker on Tampa. He's incredible.
Monte David.
Oh my God. Oh. Two of the best middle linebackers in the game are playing against each other tonight. There's gonna be some hitting out there.
Can't believe it. Lattimore has a lacerated kidney.
Yeah, he lacerated his kidney. It's a very bad injury. Yeah, I saw it. It's not good.
How do you do that?
I think when you get hit so hard in that area that it like cuts your kidney. Like it's you have internal bleeding.
Ugh.
It's fucking horrible.
Brutal
That's
game.
when you piss blood, by the way. Have you ever pissed blood? It's brutal.
It's like my worst fear. Every day I wake up and I take a normal pee. I thank God.
Thank God. Thank God I like golf.
All right, buddy. Great show. Everyone have a great week. Hope to see everyone at wantomakeabet.com as always. These leagues are heating up. We're heading toward the bowl season. I'm happy to just happy to see the Buckeyes slide into that 4 spot.
I knew you were. God, you must have been so happy.
Thank you to one of our writers, Gabriel Rausch, who's one of my new writers from California, did a great write-up last week about that game. And he picked Utah over USC.
To beat USC.
He did a deep analysis of it. He loved Utah in the game. So thanks to Gabriel for putting that out there, and a reminder to everyone to keep checking our blog, because I think I have 5 like full-time writers now that are bringing stuff to the table every day. We got college and NBA basketball covered. We have NFL as always. I chip in on that, but we have World Cup coverage. So stay tuned to the blog and have a great week.
Yeah, and good luck to your selections. And you know what? Buckeyes are back in it. Who knows?
We're back in it. We're playing Georgia. We're playing the Beast at a shot to take on, well, if Michigan wins, I mean, what a game that would be, a rematch. I was hoping that it would be. I don't know how we didn't get I thought we would be ranked 3rd when that whole thing happened after TCU lost. I don't know.
I don't think they wanted to put a rematch right there.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right.
I think they wanted to say, listen, Ohio State got a little bit lucky here, but we're putting you against the Wolves in round 1.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can beat Georgia.
You want the rematch or beat Georgia?
And by the way, you might be able to beat Georgia.
Yeah.
You get that Michigan game out of your system,
The line came out at 7 in that game and immediately went to 6.5.
Doesn't surprise me. Ohio State, man, with that offense, the quarterback's good, and you have a lot of fucking talent.
Yeah.
I don't know how great your defense is this year,
but it's an off year. I love that over, whatever it is.
It's that kid Stetson Bennett. Like he's so little. I'm like, it's hard for me to buy into that guy, but the guy does win. I will say, he does win.
Good luck with your Rangers tonight.
God, we need a win, Jack. We got to get off the schneid. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We're struggling.
Are you? What's your record?
There's a lot of hockey. We're 11-10 and whatever, but we went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I mean, we're supposed to be better than this. We're not good,
All
So
right.
it's a lot of concern. They're wondering if the coach is going to survive this. Supposedly Jimmy Dolan's getting a little itchy. You know what happens with that fucking guy.
Trigger finger.
You know what? My friend went to high school with him, and he said, Jimmy's not a sports guy. He's a music guy. He wore black socks to gym.
I'll never forget. I was with Cappy in Vegas like 20 years ago, and we were at a strip joint,
Oh
and
yeah, Olympic Garden.
and he goes, "Hey," and he saw someone he knew, and I looked up, and it was Jimmy Dolan.
That's right.
Cappy went over and shook his hand, and then we
I
all.
was there.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah,
I didn't know Jimmy Dolan was like 5'9", five
he
foot
was a
eight,
short little dude worth
5'6",
millions. Thanks to his dad.
5'3".
Yeah, 5'3". Short little dude.
Buddy, have a great week. I'm sure we'll talk before the Friday show, and I'm looking forward to that either way.
All right, listen, text me if you want to Venmo tonight's game, whatever the live line is.
Okay, sounds good.
Later, brother.
See you, man.
Be good.